Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. Yes, so some of you might be wondering, what is that? We have been brought back all the way to episode 2? Yeah, this would be episode 2. So it has been a very long time since I've even went to this, little moon base. But, we'll let this know, is this is just kind of like this is like the great-grandfather of my whole gaming experience as far as Kerbal Space Program is concerned. This is one of the first rovers I've ever made. And some of you might be wondering, like, how is that a rover? It's got aircraft wheels. See, for some of you, for you new people, that was how the game was played in the beginning. Okay, I was wondering why the frame rate was so high, but it's still pretty high. That was the basic rover before they actually added rover wheels that needed to be powered by, the electric wheels. So I have an ion-powered rover that would roll across the surface. This video isn't going to be about any specific missions. I want to cover all the things I've created and all the things I've done in this game. Mostly because this stuff isn't going to be around much longer, and I would really like to be able to remember it myself. Not to mention, have something to show for you new people. So, this thing was just kind of like the granddaddy to all of my rovers. And, the idea of having a moon base, if you look, it stores every possible kind of fuel in the game. And that was kind of one of the things I thought was a great idea. So, when I finished this one off, my next thing that I started building was the Moonbase Alpha. Moonbase Alpha was like my, basic second base following the original one, and I don't know why, but I can't click it from this. I guess I can't click it off this surface. So, and even this first moon base with the rover that I just showed you, I mean, it's not really a moon base, but at the same time it kind of is. The idea of being able to dock on the surface was proven, for me at least. The idea that you can dock two parts up while one is stationary and it is, a static object that cannot move. Now, this is my second base here, and it's pretty much been left untouched. And you can still see the frame rate around it really does suck. Now, this one never received its fuel. It also is drastically different from the first base, because this was still in the testing phase of being able to dock things up on the surface. None of these parts were docked up the way that, say, Minmus Space Beta was docked up. Each one of these pieces was actually picked up by a rover, then actually placed in position where it's at, and also docked up. You can see we have this is an ion rover, fully powered rover, with two Kerbals. One of my first rover designs as well. We have, these are cookie cutter designs, I believe. I want to get the sun uphead. Alright, wow. Get the sun above us, uphead. What is uphead? You can see these are basically just cookie cutter designs. There's really nothing to any of them. I guess I didn't even turn on these temperature sensors or anything like that. But, I didn't really, a lot of the things you can tell, a lot of it was rushed a little bit. A lot of the things are pretty much the same. I think we got some Kerbals on board Yeah, we got 4 in here and none in there. So we have 6 total at this base. Can support 8 or 10 if you want to count the whatever, this little command pod with wheels, if you want to call it that. So afterwards, after creating this base, I wanted to build a base now that I could actually dock 2 parts up on the surface, and you know, basically everything else could be done for the most part. I wanted to create a base that would basically be easier to put together, a lot easier, and I wanted something that would work no matter what. And it really, I tried to push myself away from the rovers more so, which leads to Moon Base Beta, which we'll have to go to the Space Center and Tracking Station in order to view. So Moonbase Beta, where is it? The Moon Torch was another one of my ideas that kind of just got abandoned, which Moonbase Beta, which was started over here, was another one of my ideas that got slightly abandoned. I didn't really work with it after this point, and wow. You can tell with Moonbase Beta, I was heading in the right direction. The number one thing that just didn't work with this base, I guess I didn't, yeah, there was like something happened here and I didn't get both panels, but you can see it's a little bit more streamlined with some of the things. This time I didn't want to use cookie cutter designs. I wanted to be able to make separate modules, create something. This strut here is it's a little derpy. Yeah, no, I wanted to be able to make designs with separate modules, being able to do separate things, and to prove that you can make 2 modules separately, and you can connect them together, and they don't have to be the exact same height, the exact same shape. I did that a little bit with the second base that I launched, Moonbase Alpha. I wanted to really test out if 2 objects can be docked up even though they are separate designs. And that was more so proven that you can do that. With this, I tried to go a little bit further and see how far I can get with this. Because with the Moonbase things, I didn't want to spend an insane amount of time on it, and I didn't really want to spend a lot of time on something that I could just never get to work. And that was kind of one of my major points on ever doing any of this stuff. Was the funny part is too, if you look, a lot of these things were all separately launched, which takes up a lot more time. And time is always a concern with me, which I try to do everything in the shortest amount of time and as quickly as possible. You know, going to Eve or Duna or doing any of that stuff and just building these bases. So afterwards, we launched Minmus Base. And this is Minmus Base Alpha, which I never renamed it. Unfortunately, never renamed it. Which I think I was going to. And this is a project that literally got abandoned the minute I launched it. I ended up messing up not only the design for the rover. If you guys see here, this rover was supposed to have square panels, and this was at a time when the panels themselves weren't named accordingly. You know, they didn't tell you it was like a 2x3 panel or a 6x1 panel. So those kinds of problems, just, you know, I didn't know. So by the time I launched it and everything else, and also conveniently, I mean, you can see there's a comm hab here that was landed. I never docked them up. I never bothered. Once I landed this, I think roughly a week or 2 weeks or so went by, and that's when the update came out for the rover wheels, when the rover wheels actually became, you know, a possibility in the game. You can, you know, build a smaller rover. You know, with this design, you know, it works, but at the same time, I could make a smaller design of the same thing. You know, they added new probe cores and all kinds of stuff like that, so I just thought it would be better off to scrap everything entirely and start, you know, just a complete new project. So, this led to Minmus Space Beta, and this has got to be my, you know, flagship of a base. Like, if I had an idea of what a moon base in this game would look like, I would relate it to Minmus Space Beta. For the most part. There's still things with it that I wish I could add. I don't really plan on doing very much with this at the moment. I mean, maybe before the update comes, I'll maybe add some fuel tanks to it and have a little bit of fun with that. But this is what ended up happening with the moon bases afterward. You know, for me, docking on the surface was proven. I didn't need to question that. This was the first idea I had, though, to lower the height of the bases. Because all of my base designs beforehand, if you guys noticed, every one of them, the actual hatch was so far from the ground, I thought it would be very unconventional with a Kerbal in mind. You know, when I'm playing this game, I'm designing all my things around based on how the Kerbals navigate and how tall they are and everything else. I thought it would be unconventional if a Kerbal has to climb a huge ladder and he's maybe 3 or 4, you know, maybe 5 meters off the surface, when, you know, really he could probably, you know, climb up a smaller ladder and stuff like that. This was my also first moon base that actually had its own separate storage tanks, you know, dedicated for RCS, you know, in the fuel tanks, which have a little bit of fuel in them. The only thing I have yet to prove with this base, and I'm going to try, is see if I can build a refueling type vehicle to actually come and, you know, refuel and leave, and see if that's even a possibility. I do have other ideas in mind as far as fuel storage systems, and you know, I'm thinking more of the lines of, you know, if I'm going to be building colonies like this again, to reduce part counts and also make it, you know, somewhat playable as far as the lag is concerned. My frame rate is really low with this one, but, you know, this is one of them I really tried, was creating a communications tower, making a huge solar panel grid based off of the Moonbase beta. So Moonbase beta was in direct inspiration for the solar panels. Some of this other stuff was just kind of, at the moment, designs and stuff like that. I did want to put communications tower on there because I felt a base of this size does deserve it. You know, and my idea too is, you know, that the Kerbals will go through these tubes, and, you know, these are kind of like their little separate houses, you know, and they can go through these tubes and, you know, visit each other's houses, I guess, or something. You know, whatever. But, you know, it's like, for me, I mean, I have a little bit of an imagination when I play it. You can't actually go inside these things, so you have to have some kind of an imagination of what they're doing inside there. I would like to think that they're doing nice things. So then this leads me to Duna Base Alpha. Now, Duna Base Alpha was a concept at heart. It always was. And this was kind of what I was always leading up to with these moon bases. Now, Duna Base Alpha isn't exactly the most awesome base I've ever seen as far as Duna bases are concerned. And I do have to say, it looks amazing at night with the moon just always in the background. But no, this base was my first test as far as a different style of base. You notice that each one of these is kind of a cookie cutter as far as the design. Each one of these is exactly the same. They all have the same amount of solar panels. They all have the same batteries and everything else. It can survive a night I believe. And, this really, when it came down to designing something that was going to be traveling this far, the main issue that came, when I really think about the main issue that I was thinking about when constructing this was, all right, I need to send at least four HAB modules. It's either 3, 2, or it's either 1, 2, 3, or 4. 6 is out of the question because that's just too many. And then on top of it, I need to also send something that will allow me to manipulate them once they're landed, which was why I needed a rover. So with the rover in mind, that all led to this design and how the design works and everything else and how the package gets delivered. So the package delivery system for this was just flawless. I don't, for me, it's always like something goes bad. And even though the landing for this thing wasn't that good because of the fact that some of the fuel tanks were used up, just perfect landing. Just everything went together very perfect. My first use of 3 landing struts instead of 4. These were basically the landing gear for the entire thing, as well as the just overall struts to hold up the structure. I tried to incorporate some lights on it and everything else, which it's looking amazing, the graphic quality on some of this stuff. So, and the rover itself works out perfectly, no problems with that. So then this is my most recent. Well, I guess this is my most recent moon, or well, I shouldn't say moon base, but my most recent base that I've constructed. Now, the Minmus escape system, I do consider it to be a base, but it isn't exactly a, it's not like something you can actually live in compared to all these other places where it actually has, real basic, functions and everything else. There's separate modules, all that other good stuff. Minmus escape system was one package unit that I just landed. So, this leads me all the way to, if I can find it, which I think I should just go to, MMB, which is the mobile moon base, which was the most recent landing. And I know that this video for this just came out, and it is somewhat relatively new, but I would like to include this as a moon base rather than a rover, more so because of the fact that it does have the same amount of storage as moon base or Minmus Space Beta. So, I mean, you can hold the exact same amount of Kerbals in it. It has a fully working electrical system. Everything's all separate. It even has its own rover, everything built in. This was the hardest project to build, because this almost relayed, like, the whole idea of how the rocket was designed went back to my moon base, my initial moon base, the what is it called, with the rover. Anyways, yeah, the rocket design actually went all the way back to that. Even my avatar itself for the game is a rocket design similar to what this had to use to get off of Kerbin into the moon. That rocket design is very horrible. It really isn't reliable, and it doesn't work very well. Tends to fall apart all the time, and yeah, it even fell apart on the launch of this thing. But I was fortunate enough to lose the right pieces at the right times to where I could still get it there. So that was the kind of, the pinnacle moment, as far as, it was kind of funny to rebuild the same design that I used more than 6 months ago, and then after that I've been using the same asparagus style rocket ever since I changed over, and I've been using that asparagus style like ever since, and just variations of the same exact rocket because it works so well. Now this one, this rocket I really had to perfect, and I had to sit back and actually design a lot of it. You know, this video, I didn't really mean to do all the talking, and I'm gonna have one more video like this. It's going to be towards the space stations and all that other stuff that I've built, and how my space stations have progressed ever since. Now, with this base as well, you know, a lot of design features. The one thing I really don't like the use of are these little panels. This is the first time I actually really use them for something other than satellites. A lot of people use these in their designs and things like that, and I just never really liked them. I always thought they were just kind of an ugly looking panel. It really just, you know, I tend to use certain parts a lot compared to other things, and this is one of those kind of parts that I barely ever use for anything. The one thing I thought would be a really cool thing to add is basically another section of this rover, the exact same thing, kind of cookie cutter like I always say, attached to the back, and it being another mobile platform, just a complete platform, and you would be able to, you know, land on top of that and take off from that. And I don't know if these things can take a heat load and all kinds of stuff like that. I've never really used them for a lot of stuff, so I really don't know how well they work for a lot of things. So, you know, this was kind of the, you know, I had a little bit of fun with this one. You know, I put in like a little bit extra work, adding on extra little features, making things look good. You know, is always kind of, you know, you always want to go for functionality first and design, you know, the overall look of the thing you're building, design second. But, you know, I kind of incorporated both of those as well as I possibly could. You know, underneath this thing, it just looks like a hangar to me almost. It's actually kind of funny looking that, like, it just really has like a hangar-y feel to it. But anyways, guys, you know what? Thank you for watching. You know, thank you for watching up until this point. For all of you guys who have been subscribing, you know, watching, commenting, and, you know, liking my videos, especially all the new people and all the people who have been watching ever since, like, the very beginning. You know, thank you guys for watching, and, yeah, it kind of sucks that one chapter of, like, this whole game is going to be kind of closed off for, you know, all of us, and for me, it's going to be kind of sucky to see some of this stuff go, because I had a lot of fun doing all these, and, you know, I will be around after the update, and, of course, I will be repopulating the entire Kerbal system once again, starting from scratch. But, you know what, thank you guys for watching. You've made the channel what it is. It's you that really influences whether or not I make a video or not. It's not me. So, for as much as I like to say that, you know, okay, well, you know, my persistence and your eagerness to see the videos really kind of drives me to make more videos. So that's kind of one of the main things that really always just makes me want to do this stuff. So anyways, guys, I think I've said anyways, guys, like 10 times, but yeah, thank you for watching, and you know, once again, if you like what you see here, subscribe. There's always more to come, and yeah, I will see you next time.